With Rachaad White out, Bucky Irving truthers were expecting a huge game. Now, Irving was still good. He had 18 points. But Sean Tucker came in and outproduced Irving, scoring 34.2 points. Now, this is going to have a massive impact on the entire fantasy football landscape, and more importantly, the Bucs running back room. Sean Tucker actually has a very deep story, so we're going to dive into his film from Week 6 and tell you what this means for Tucker, for Irving, and Rachaad White for 2024 fantasy football. We're going to look at every single Sean Tucker touch from Week 6 because other than that, you don't really have any other film to analyze. He's had 2 other carries the whole year, but in Week 6, he had 14 carries for 136 yards, 9.7 yards per carry, a touchdown on the ground, and 3 receptions for 56 yards and a touchdown through the air as well for 34.2 points. So we're going to start things out by looking at a bunch of Tucker's outside runs. First play here, you're going to see him in the backfield behind Mayfield, and it's going to be a little stretch design to our right. And we'll watch Tucker do a good job getting to the outside. Following his blockers, he does a great job getting to the second level. Obviously, you have all the space here. You have a man down the field, and he really just has to do a good job getting past this linebacker right here and getting a few extra yards. That guy has an angle on him, but all I can really do is hit him from the side. So if Irving just falls forward for a few extra yards, that's going to be massive for the Bucs and just help him out a ton. This is something you're going to see a lot in Tucker's game, where the design here is to do another stretch to the outside. It's supposed to be an outside run, but you're going to see him take a step here and immediately cut it back. He's not a prisoner to where the ball, the play script says it wants to be run. He does a good job seeing that there's open space up the middle, so why would I just try and power through this defender right here when there's all this congestion right there, when there's wide open space, when I can just plant my foot in the ground? And again, it's a lot easier, said than done. It actually takes a very talented running back to do so, but here he turns what would have been a 1 yard gain, probably a no yard gain, to a 5 yard carry just by switching fields. Absolutely fantastic job by Tucker on that play. Here we're going to have a bit more of a sweep play to the outside. You see a man in motion right here, and Tucker's going to do a great job getting the ball, and he sees his blockers. It's set up to go the outside. He could potentially cut up the middle there, but you see this defender right here would have bet him in the gap, so he makes the right choice in trying to cut outside, hoping that someone picks up 24 and 29, but since they're further down the field, it also gives them more of a chance to be picked up by a blocker. And they do. 17 gets to the outside on 29, and now all Tucker has to do is outrun 24, which he does very well, gets to the outside. 17 actually does a very poor job blocking his man, but Tucker still shows good speed. I guess some of the questions you have with these undrafted running backs are they really only getting the yards that are given to them? And a lot of that is because they're not fast running backs. Typically, slow running backs don't translate to fantasy points because they can't have those breakaway runs. They're only going to get 3 to 4 yards at a time. They don't really have the ability to get 8 to 10 yards, which in a PPR league, having those big explosive plays are what allows you to keep up with those running backs that are getting 4 to 5 checkdowns a game and actually makes you fantasy relevant. Similar play design, it's really the exact same play. Sweep to the right, and now you're going to see Tucker with the ball right here, and it's going to set up pretty nicely for him. It really plays out almost the exact same way, except here he's really just in a one-on-one with Marshawn Lattimore at the bottom of your screen. Here he has to display the speed once again, does a nice little stutter step, cuts in and out to get an extra yard, and then does a good job falling forward as well. And this is kind of what I want to talk about. I'm kind of leaning towards the fact that I don't think Tucker is going to be a good fantasy back on his own, but is he doing the things that will have the Buccaneers keep, putting him on the field, which takes away from Rachaad White and Bucky Irving? Having a guy that falls forward, does the right thing, is going to get him on the field early and often, and Todd Bowles definitely made note of that in the post-press conference when he was talking about how much he thought Irving looked great, but also Tucker looked very good as well, and that how they want to keep him involved. So now we're going to transition over to some more inside runs, at least runs that are designed to be inside runs. Here you have Irving right behind Mayfield, and it's going to be a design basically halfback dive. Again, a lot of these aren't going to be what it turns out to be, right? So Tucker is going to get the ball. It looks like he wants to go up the middle, gets congested very quickly, so he's going to try and bounce it back, get around here. It is a very, very tough lane. There's not really much he can do, as 95 gets off his block and kind of just shuts him down immediately. I like the idea. There was really, if he went, right where the run was supposed to be, he was going to get screwed either way. Might as well just try and go and pick up a good chunk play. But the guy in the offensive line, I didn't catch what number he was, but he let 95 escape and miss his block. That's really more on the O-line than Tucker there. This was easily one of the best plays Tucker had all game. Fantastic play here. He's going to be lined up right next to Mayfield, and it's going to be in little inside zone. He does a great job staying patient, following his blocks, and here he's going to see that initial hole to get to the second level, and once he's there, he's going to do a great job instead of just trying to follow up the middle. He's going to do a good job following his blocker around and actually try and pick up those additional yards. Fantastic speed there. You see him get to the edge. Tries to make a move. Nice little stutter stop as well. I think you could argue that he didn't need to cut it out again. But with his speed, he can really do whatever, and it really doesn't matter. Though I probably honestly would have liked him to take the middle route after I saw how it completely ended. Still, great job overall, and that's a big chunk play from Tucker. Single back formation here. You have Tucker, again, simple inside dive. There's not really going to be much to do here. He's going to take it up the middle, and he tries to bounce it outside. I think he almost had it because there is space here, but 70 needs to seal his guy. 69 needs to seal his guy. And if one of those doesn't work, then the play's not going to work. It looks like 69 got beat, and that's what caused him to only get about 1 to 2 yards. Same kind of concept here, but this is one of the better plays as well that I've seen from Sean Tucker because there's really nothing there, right? He's going to have a man in motion. He's going to be asked to go up the middle. And there's just so many bodies right here and such little space to get to the outside. But he has to do a nice cut to get to the second level. And he does just that. Fantastic job switching up directions. Gets to the second level and runs through a few people. Picks up some extra yards. That's a great run of him turning nothing into something. We'll run this one through real quick. Same play up the middle, but there's nothing he can do besides just follow his blockers and pick up about 2 yards here. Again, does a good job not running into the 3 defenders here. Takes the numbers game where there's only 1-2 versus it would have been 1-2-3, and is able to get a few extra yards, kind of fall forward because of that. But really, again, nothing right there. So you can tell this was designed to be an inside run, but he basically takes 1 step forward and then jumps to the outside. And that's what also, again, I love about Tucker. He does such a good job reading the defense. 1 foot down, and immediately he sees, I believe that's Chase Young, 99, up the gap, cuts to the outside, uses his speed, and makes a fantastic play. Gets around his defender, boom, chunk play there. When you see a runner keep picking up chunk plays like that, you're going to put him in the game. He's going to take away from Irving. He's going to take away from White because when he's in the game and he does things like that, where it's not the obvious play, where he's not just, taking what's given to him, you simply cannot put a back like that on the sidelines for too long. Another great play by Tucker here. He's going to be asked to run up the middle once again, and he's going to bounce it to the outside. Here, he sees congested middle of the field. He's going to bounce to the outside, sees a nice block, gets inside, I believe that's Kate Otten's block, and then does a good job not going down, gets those extra 2 to 3 yards. Again, that is what coaches love. That's what's going to get him on the field and take Irving and White off it a little more than fantasy managers would like. So I did decide to skip through a few of his other simple runs up the middle, not much, 2 to 3 yard gains, and jump ahead to this touchdown right here. Again, he's being asked to run up the middle. They have men. It's in the red zone, getting that touch here, and he's going to do a great job of just seeing the box is packed right here. You see all the defenders here, and he looks where no one is, sees how the blocking sets up, and does a great job reacting instantly, cuts it to the outside, and that's what's going to result in that touchdown. So we'll watch it play out. Fantastic play here by Tucker, getting himself on the board in the touchdown category. Fantastic play, getting to the edge and scoring that touchdown. Here's all 3 targets from this game, And I just want to preface that coming out of college, one of the main reasons I was so excited about Tucker out of Syracuse was because he was such a good weapon. He was a great pass catcher. He was going to be fantastic for PPR leagues, and I'm not surprised at all. He looks very natural catching the ball, and for a guy like Rachaad White, who's the only reason he's fantasy relevant is because he's in PPR leagues where he catches the ball a ton. He had 70 targets last year. Bucky Irving, his main calling card is being explosive, yes, but he was supposedly some elite catcher from college. He was an elite receiver out of Oregon. He had about, I believe, like 50 receptions. This game, they're back 1-2, and Tucker has more receptions from him. What does that tell you about Irving? And if that doesn't worry you just a little bit, I think that it definitely should, because it's not just a fluke. Tucker is a very good pass catcher, and you'll see how natural it looks on film. This is actually a pretty wonky play. I'm not even going to try and draw the play art. It's a reverse flea flicker. Baker looks down the field, checks it down to Tucker, but just a good job catching it. He just doesn't look clunky, not body catching it. Out in front of him, picks up a few yards, stays on his feet. Good play here from Tucker. Pretty simple route right here from Tucker. Just going to run out of the backfield. Kind of like a flat, but he goes almost like a wheel. I'm not really exactly sure what it's supposed to be. But either way, gets out of the backfield, cuts up the field. No one on him, and he has all the room in the world. He just has to do, again, the pass also looked very natural for him. He gets it, turns upfield immediately, and does a great job cutting up. Fantastic play there. That's a long pass. He does a great job, making a man miss and turning that check down into a 40-yard touchdown right there off of a reception. Final play, pretty underwhelming, but it's going to be basically the same concept, just another check down. We're going to see the willingness to use Tucker on these kind of table routes. Does a good job catching the ball, very natural, gets a few extra yards after the catch. After watching the film, there's a few things that are very clear to me. One, Sean Tucker is a legit player. He's not great yet, but he showed way too many flashes, and Todd Bowles even talked about this. He just looks like a good running back. He just played too good to not be utilized at all, and my final verdict is that this kills basically everyone in the Buccaneers backfield. Rachaad White is still probably the guy that I would grab the most because he has the best pass catching upside, but outside of that, it looks like Tucker's now going to get run, Irving's going to get run, and White's going to get run, which means this is going to be a three-headed backfield in a massive committee, limiting each other's upside. It absolutely sucks for fantasy football, but it's awesome to see a guy like Sean Tucker, who looked like a fantastic prospect out of Syracuse, dealt with so many injury concerns, and ended up being undrafted, finally shine. I think that Tucker is just so different than these other running backs that may score 34 points, 20 points, flash in the pan. I truly believe that Tucker is not that same type of player. He's going to get better week in and week out as long as he can stay healthy. And if that's the case, the Buccaneers will use him, which gives Tucker more usage, still not a ton, but also takes away usage from Irving and White, which makes all these guys not too fantasy relevant unless the Buccaneers offense is amazing. So my final verdict is that I think Irving and White are now fringe RB2s at best. I think Tucker is a fine waiver wire add if you have a decently sized bench. If you only have 5 bench slots, honestly, I wouldn't even pick him up. But if something happens to White or Irving, I think he could have a very prevalent fantasy football role. That being said, though, if you guys did enjoy the video, be sure to like, subscribe, and if you want personalized fantasy football advice for your team from myself and a bunch of our other experts that watch the film just like me, dive into the stats, and frankly spend way too much time on fantasy football to give you guys findings, you can join our free Discord. The link will be in the description and the bio. It's completely free. You can ask personalized trade questions, personalized team advice for you. So it is the best place to get fantasy football advice, in my opinion, in the industry right now. But again, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.